Welcome back. So today we're going to be discussing our new little sneaky boys for Germany, the Werwolf of Group. So, per their description, they were formed in the summer of 1944 as an elite troop of volunteer forces to participate secretly behind enemy lines. It was trained to engage in clandestine operations in the same manner as Allied special forces such as commandos. Now, there's a couple things that make them pretty cool. Number one, they come with the STG-44S, which it's cool for a couple of reasons. Number one, this is the first time that they've sold an STG-44, like a fully upgraded, full statted STG-44, right? The other thing with it is that it's a suppressed assault rifle, which is also more or less entirely unique. Like, the first one isn't, like, super unique. They've sold, like, AS-44s before. They've sold, like, squads that came with similar things, like the Thompson 100, or, like, the German paratroopers have the Krieghoff FG-42s, which are basically FG-42s, right? But, as of this point, we haven't seen anybody else that had, like, an MP-44 or an STG. Like, there's the STG-45, but it shoots at like 450 rounds a minute, which is a lot slower. Now, the other thing with them is that I think they look pretty cool. They seem to basically have your standard German uniform, except they have one of these almost Flecktarn camo schmucks over it, with like a camo cover on their helmet, and then they also have some like camo netting hanging in front of their face. I think it's a really cool look. Really shows off the whole special forces kind of thing that they're going for, when the majority of both sides are running around in like OD green or gray. So, what sets them apart though, gameplay wise? This is a guerrilla squad. So, because it's a guerrilla squad, it's a 5-man squad. You can't add any more guys. They're all guerrillas, and you can't add any specialists. But guerrillas have some perks of their own. So, for example, they can pick up enemy weapons in their second slot. They can carry extra TNT blocks. You get the idea. Now, personally, the way that I normally run my guerrillas, and this is for every nation, is I usually give them like a bolt-action rifle in their second slot. I just like giving them some sort of weapon that they can reach out and touch with at range, because generally I'll run some sort of more aggressive weapon in their first slot. I think the exception to this is the French ones that we got from the event, because they come with semi-auto rifles. I also don't really run TNT on them. They do have the TNT perk. I usually run it on one guy. My problem with TNT is that it's a weapon system that requires you to pay attention to it. So, like, either you have to place it on an active target like a tank and then detonate it, or you have to place it on a road and then you have to take the time to watch the road and wait for something to come by and ambush it. Which, it's cool that you can carry 5, it's cool that you can, multi-use your TNT. Realistically, I only need it on one guy. The way that I've been running them, I have 3 guys with anti-personnel mines, 1 guy with TNT charges, and 1 guy with AT mines. Theoretically, I think that if you were going into a team that played with a lot of tanks, you could really play havoc in their backline by bringing a lot of anti-tank mines. But generally, I think AP mines are better, because you're going to run into like spawn points, choke points, whatever. And I like to stay mobile, so I want things that I can set and forget. Now, getting into their gun itself, the STG-44S, as I mentioned, it's an STG-44 with a suppressor, so stat-wise, at 10 meters it's doing 9.5 damage, it's got a muzzle velocity of 680 and a rate of fire of 650. Its reload time is 2.6, the shot deviation 66, recoil control 70, vertical horizontal of 33 and 8, with a feed system of 30 rounds in a magazine. and you fire an auto and semi-auto. So, generally speaking, this is a very comfortable, very lethal weapon. If we look at the normal tech tree STG, you're going to see it does 9.6 damage, so marginally more at 10 meters. Still shooting 680 meters per second, still shooting 650 rounds a minute. Reload time's 2.6, shot deviation and recoil control are the same, vertical and horizontal are the same magazine, same auto, semi-auto. Right, so compared to like a tech tree assault squad, you're giving up your 3 specialists, you're also giving up 2 soldiers, or 1 soldier, rather. Well, 2 soldiers. Against premium squads, you're giving up 1 soldier. Because tech tree squads are 7, premium squads are 6, and these guys, the Guerrillas, are 5s. Now, instead of comparing them against an assault squad, because you can, in a pinch, use them as an assault squad, but I would caution you, an assault squad this is not. I would rather prefer to compare them against the other German Guerrillas. So, depending on what weapons you have available, with the tech tree Guerrillas, they operate exactly the same, and arguably this is one of the drawbacks of premium Guerrillas, that you can't swap their main gun. Like, in the case of these guys, they gave them a gun that's so good that realistically, when are you going to swap it out? Like, functionally, this is the top tier gun. So, when you look at your normal Guerrillas, they actually don't have access to assault rifles. So it's completely unique with the tech tree, or with the new premium one. So they have access to bolt-action rifles, they have access to submachine guns, they have access to shotguns, but that's it. So they don't have access to, like, the FG-42, so there's no argument that, well, I could put an FG-42 on them instead. You can't. What you can do, and what I do, is I run from Stalingrad back in the day, the MP717R, which is a captured PPSH-41. And comparing the two, it's pretty dirty. Now, whether I want one or the other, generally I'll actually run both, but if I had to choose, it really would just be whatever my mood is that day. I don't think one's better than the other. The STG's better at reaching out and touching people. The PPSH is better at clearing rooms and clearing, like, trenches and any sort of close quarters area where there's going to be a lot of people. But I run them otherwise the same way, with the same number of AT mines, AP mines, TNT, all that. For somebody, though, who doesn't have access to the PPSH, if it were me, I'd probably be running Guerrillas, which, they're good guns. I like the Guerrilla. It's a lot of fun to use. And if I wasn't using that, but I had access to some of the better Battle Pass weapons from back in the day, you might consider running the Condors, because they can use the Condors, and it would be a very good replacement option for the PPSH. I'll also compare them to the other Guerrilla squad. So the other Guerrilla squad's BR2, they use the MP719R, which is a PPS-43. And I actually do regularly bring the squad into BR5 battles. Back in the day, the PPS-43 was a Berlin weapon, and while it does have a little bit of accuracy trouble, I think it performs very well, even at BR5. Like, a 35-round magazine isn't phenomenal, but it's not bad. 6.7 damage is fine. The recoil stats are very comfortable, so I think it performs just fine. That being said, it is a BR2 squad, and obviously the BR5 squad is going to perform better. Like, I would rather have an STG-44 every day. So, if you play BR5, and you like BR5, I definitely think that the Guerrilla squad with the STG-44 is an absolute yes. I think it is playstyle dependent, though. So, when I'm defending, I like to be able to go into the enemy backline and harass them. I sometimes find it a bit dull if all I'm doing is sitting somewhere and waiting for the enemy to come to me, especially because it's very match dependent whether the enemy team is actually going to come to me, right? Like, there are matches where the enemy team is just dicking around in their backline and they're not really doing anything and they're not really pushing the objective the way they probably should be. And this lets me at least go out and try to attack them. Even when I'm attacking, though, I still like to use my guerrillas. I just don't spawn them as frequently in attacking missions as I do in defending missions. They're, like, something that I would spawn, like, 1 every 3 or 1 every 4 lives in an attacking mission because it's worth it to go out there and disrupt the enemy's ability to reinforce their point. It's worth it to go out there and eliminate, mine, sabotage the enemy roads, the enemy spawn points, the enemy, like their spawn beacons, the little radios, or their half tracks. It's absolutely an advantage to your team if somebody's going out there and making it so the enemy has a harder time getting to the point, and it makes it easier for your guys that are on the front line to actually get onto that point. Now, obviously, there's the drawback, the hard part of you need to line break the enemy, and so generally if you go wide, you can do it pretty easily. So I like having like sprint perks and flasks and whatnot. But you know, some games the enemy's really going to be on their A game, or sometimes you're going to run into like the ubermensch AI that like 360 no scope you through like 6 bushes. So it doesn't always work out. The other thing is, in a pinch, these guys are very similar to what premium assault squads used to be. So, I like the state of the modern premium assault squad. Getting 5 assaulters, well, I guess technically it's 4 assaulters, an engineer with an assault weapon, and an AT soldier who's usually these days coming from the tech tree with something else. I think that's a really good format. The AT soldier doesn't necessarily have to be from the tech tree, but in some ways I kind of like that he is. I think that if they made him part of the squad, gave him the same weapon as everybody else, and just left the second squad empty so you could fill it with whatever you wanted to, like that probably would be ideal. But the point here is a 6-man assault squad with an engineer and an AT soldier is really, really, really good. Having none of that, like not having an engineer, not having an AT soldier, and only being 5 guys, means that these guys can push objectives. Like that's what we did with 4-man and then 5-man assault squads for a very long time in this game. That being said, they do suffer a disadvantage when they go to do that. Like, their kit is not really designed for pushing objectives from the front. They're fine to come in from the back, but you have 2 less guys that can go down versus a tech tree squad. You have 1 less guy that can go down versus a premium assault squad. You have no ranged AT whatsoever. So if a tank shows up, you basically need to be invisible to it and take it from the back or the side, and if it's looking at you, like, you don't have an AT launcher, so you're gonna kaboom. You also don't have an engineer, so you're not going to be able to fortify an objective. You're not going to be able to build rally points. You're not going to be able to build ammo. And you do have the advantage that you do get more ammo for your primary weapon than other squads do, because your ammo pouches. You do get the advantage that you have bonuses to picking up enemy weapons. So they can push objectives from the front. It's just, if I was going to get this squad, I would get it with the understanding that they're meant to be used more like a scalpel and less like a sledgehammer. Like, you can get the Swomy boys, and you can throw them at the front like a sledgehammer, and they're going to do real well, because they have AT organically, they have an engineer, and they have a bunch of guys with drum-magged guns. With these guys, I think that their toolkit is set up in such a way that they're really, really good on the flank, they're really, really good coming from behind, they're really good at harassing the enemy. To be honest, I've never put much credence into suppressors in Enlisted. I don't think they really do that much for you, but maybe they do. I think their biggest advantage against a real player is that you don't see the muzzle flashes from them shooting at you. That being said, like most of the guns you can, even with the suppressor, you can kind of tell where you're being shot at from in Enlisted. At least I can. So maybe it is a bonus against the AI. Like sometimes I feel a little bit better when I'm shooting at people on the flanks, like more confident that they're not going to turn and shoot at me. But at the same time, I've also just been running around and gotten shot through like 6 bushes, so like I really don't know what the suppressor is adding other than cool factor, but I do feel like it's adding something. I just don't think it's like a large benefit. Like running around with my guys with the PPSHs, I think I can take them into the same situations and do okay. It's just they don't do very well over range. I don't know. I like them. I would recommend them. I just think it's a squad you need to know what you're getting if you're gonna get them, because you could get the paratroopers, and I think they're more adaptable. They're better generally. Although I think that people have gotten a lot better about shooting down paratroopers than they used to be, especially with the advent of jets and whatnot. You could alternatively get the half-track. The half-track's always a really good value buy. The ability to customize them for every BR, and the fact that they're a mobile spawn point, they add a lot to your team. But if you know that you want STGs, this is a great way to get STGs. If you know that you want everything that I've explained that this squad is, absolutely go for it. Like if I was pitting them up against the Swomy boys, the Swomies are really good. Especially now that it's a 6-man squad. And if you like to just bum rush the enemy and turn your brain off and shoot, I think the Swomies are probably the better squad. Like, they can be really fun to just unga bunga, just go, get stuck in, shoot as many people as you can. And I think that they do that a lot better than the STG does. But if you want a cool looking squad that can operate a little bit differently than your normal enlisted squad, I think these guys are a good squad. The only other thing is whether you'd prefer them over the other German premium Guerrilla squad. And that really just comes down to what BRs you like to play at, because if you like playing at BR5 primarily, these guys are definitely the squad to go for. If you like playing multiple BRs and you jump around a lot, or if you specifically like BR2, then I think the other guys are probably the better choice, because you can't use this squad anywhere but BR5. But you can use the PPS 43 squad at BR2, 3, 4, and 5, and the thing is, they'll perform well at every one of those BRs. Like, I've never felt like I was at a severe disadvantage playing at BR5 with that squad. And I regularly bring it in, well, I'll almost always bring it in BR2. I'll almost always bring it in BR3. Same with BR4. Like, the PPS 43 is just a really good gun, and what Guerrillas offer is really good. So, let me know what you think down below. Have you picked these guys up? Have you picked up the other Guerrillas? What do you think the two are compared to each other? Maybe you just stick with the tech tree guys. Like, the tech tree guys are good too, and you can play them at every BR, because you can swap out their weapons. It's just, some of the tech tree German guns that just, I don't know, like, at BR 2 and 3, I think genuinely I would rather have the PPS 43. Like, at BR 4, there's some decent options, but even then, the PPS 43 is really good. As per usual, get out there, kick ass, take names, and win your games.